Well, my name is Visier. I'm from Nagaland, and I represent Naga people. But also, I'm the president of the Overseas Nagas Association, that is the Naga diaspora. So many of the members are from USA and UK, but I happen to be the president in India and happen to be in Australia.
For your people, do they notice already impacts of climate change? Do they witness changes in what they traditionally have observed as weather?
Oh yes, yes, very much so. Even simple villagers, they know that something is different from the usual pattern. That's for sure. Yes, yes.
How do they cope with it?
I think they are not so much aware of it, but they know that something is happening because, for example, in Northeast India, the floods are getting bigger and bigger. The Brahmaputra River is getting wider and wider. Sometimes the river is as wide as 50 kilometers, so the flood is more and more. The rains are coming all of a sudden sometimes, and then it's coming at the wrong time. So it affects their rice growing season because the transplantation of rice is in normally May, June, and sometimes the rain won't come at that time, and it may come a bit late or a bit early. So they know that something is not quite what they're used to. But I think because it's not so severe, they don't realize as the rest of the world are aware of it. Yeah.
But they are witnessing that it's getting more severe over time?
Yes, 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 definitely yes.
Well, I would presume that your people actually lead a lifestyle which comes with very little CO2 emissions.
I suppose so, yes.
What would you say is the consequence then when there's global negotiations about a climate change agreement, that people like your people are actually suffering from a changing climate, but they did not really contribute to the problems? What would you hope, what would you expect for leaders to discuss and to decide when Copenhagen negotiations start in a couple of days?
Well, this is a bit of a difficult. I can't say what my people might think or what they might react, but I may say, in my opinion, I would say if you want to save the planet, so to say, to use a cliche, then we have to become unselfish. If the leaders can think for tomorrow, if the leaders can think for the small people, like my people, and for many other people, then we expect that something can be done if they can think big. But if they always think in terms of short-term gain, then we are not going to solve the problem.
So I take it that what we really need and what you would expect is a change in mindsets from power politics to more of a global care.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have to, you see, I am not a scientist. I don't know exactly what is happening in the bigger picture, in the scientific term. But I know as an ordinary person, as a lay person, I know that if we continue the way we live, and if the big nations, if the rich nations live the way they live, we are heading for disaster. That much I know as a lay person, as an ordinary person. And therefore we have to think together. The indigenous people have some wisdom. They have some ways of living with the nature. And the big nations can learn from them. Indigenous people don't have the technology. They don't have the scientific knowledge. I mean, not everyone, but by and large. They can learn from them. So there is a two-way. We can learn from each other. And that's the pathway, I think. That's what I think as an indigenous person.
Which would mean that we also have to revisit our concept of developed countries and developing countries, because it turns out, as you say, that some developing countries can hold wisdom and knowledge that might be crucial for survival.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, let me put it in this way. long before that, the Cree leader was saying, when all the river dries up and when all the trees are cut and all the fish dies in the river, then we'll realize that we can't eat money. I mean, that's a very common knowledge now. Everybody quotes that quotation. But the fact is, the indigenous people realize that the way the Western development is taking place is not quite right. Something was wrong, and they could not pinpoint in a scientific way. Therefore, people didn't listen to them. Mm-hmm. Because in a Western mind, everything has to be how and what and why. It has to be explained. Otherwise, they won't believe. And the indigenous knowledge often is a kind of intuition. They know something that is not in the words. Mm. And that's, I think that was the one of the problem of communication. And I'm speaking not so much just of the climate change, but in general terms. I think that's one of the problem there.
So would you say that it also needs a change of mindset in the Western minds to understand that, to understand how things are interconnected around our Earth?
Yes, the mindset, the whole philosophy of how we look at things and how we have understood the values, the commercial values, our world values. That has to be, I think, the whole thing has to be reversed in an entirely a different mindset, in an entirely a different way of looking at things. That's what I see it.
Climate change is a matter of justice.